Yo, what's up guys? Welcome back to a brand new video. So today is going to be a special video because the third job has just released in the old school classic Maplestory world, and Joe and I are going to be going through each and every class and showing you guys what exactly those classes look like, how they function, and pretty much just giving our overall thoughts and opinions on these classes. So to start it off, we're actually going to start with the mage classes first, and we're going to be starting off with one of the most iconic classes and maybe one of the classes that you guys were thinking of playing, and that is going to be priest.
Yes.
Now, priest no longer is going to be giving holy symbol like it used to. It's now going to function as a door. So that might be a big turnoff for a lot of people who are thinking of playing this class. I don't know if you want to give your thoughts or opinions on that, but for me, that kind of destroys the class for me personally.
Yeah, a lot of people don't like it. Some people think it's fine because they tweaked the party bossing. It is one of the most iconic skills in the game, but nonetheless, the priest still is functioning the same way that it always has. It has a decent mobbing skill with a pretty decent hitbox. It has a door skill, which if you don't know how door skill functions, it's actually very, very good in old school Maplestory. It's a skill that you can place down in any training map, and anybody in your party can go and use that door, and it will teleport them to the town.
Priests are also now going to be able to dispel their party just like they used to, getting rid of any abnormal status, which is going to be really good for bossing and maybe potential training instances. And then they are also going to still have the exact same summon dragon skill, which as you guys can see is just a summon that is going to follow along your character and just do DPS over time. But other than that, priest is still pretty much kind of what it used to be. It is one of the weaker mobbers out of the three mages, but again,
Yes.
it does not give holy symbol anymore as well, so you can do with what you want with that information.
We're going to be talking about one of the, in my opinion, best mages and maybe even best
agree.
third job class in the game, and that is Ice Lightning. This class's mobbing
Oh my
skill almost feels unmatched to anything else in the game.
I don't know if you guys remember how good Ice Lightning's mobbing felt back in the day, but Ice Strike is just as good as you probably remembered it. It has an insane vertical hitbox, and it also has a really good horizontal hitbox as well. And while we were testing this, the damage on Ice Strike actually seems very, very good, even on mobs that are resistant to ice. One thing to note, all these mages, they all only hit 4 mobs with their mobbing skills, so that is something to note. But Ice Lightning's mobbing feels absolutely insane. Ice Lightning does also have one of the most iconic skills, and that is going to be Thunder Spear, but they did tweak it a little bit in old school Maplestory. As you guys can see, it actually does hit 2 mobs now versus when it used to only hit 1 mob, and the damage is actually pretty good, but the attack speed on the Ice Lightning's Thunder Spear is a little bit slow. And then it also does have another attacking skill called Elemental Composition, which is probably going to be used as the Ice Lightning's main DPS skill while embossing. It does a little bit less damage than Thunder Spear, but it does make up for it in the attack speed department. And real quick, speaking about the attack speed, both the Ice Lightning and the Fire Poison are both going to have a skill called Spell Booster, which is going to increase the mage's attack speed, make it feel a little bit more fluent and smooth while mobbing.
And this is something that priest actually does not have, so that is something to consider if you are thinking about playing the mages. Only Ice Lightning and Fire Poison Mage are going to get that attack speed boost. Fire Poison Mage is almost just as good. It feels amazing to play, and the damage output actually looks incredible. So Fire Poison works the same as it always has. The one change that Fire Poison did get is that you're no longer able to CC around the maps, change channel around the maps, and poison all of the maps and then come back and hit them when they're all 1 HP. That is no longer a thing. Poison Mist summons a mist that lasts for 5 seconds and has a 15-second cooldown. At level 1, it is a 70% success rate, and then at level 30, it is a 100% success rate. So the scaling gets better and better and better as you level it, and then it also is doing dot damage over time for 5 seconds on the mobs that it hits.
But the interesting part about Fire Poison that has actually changed a lot from what it used to be to what it is now, like Joe was saying, it does have a new poison mist mechanic where it will poison the mob for 5 seconds, but when you link that poison mist with your main mobbing skill, which is going to be explosion, which we'll get into and you guys can see going on in the background right now, but if you link explosion with the poison mist, it's actually just going to explode all the damage over time ticks all in one shot from the explosion.
Yes.
So as you guys can see, explosion is doing like 3.5k lines, but then it's also doing another tick of 3.5k lines at the exact same time from the fire poison's mist. So it's actually really cool. It's kind of a new mechanic and a little bit of almost skill expression in old school Maplestory, which you don't really see too much, but it's a very cool change in my opinion to what they added. And then the same thing with Ice Lightning. It does also have the spell booster as well. And the explosions hitbox is actually surprisingly large as well. You can actually hit a lot of mobs underneath you, where I thought it wasn't going to be as big as the Ice Lightning's hitbox.
But after the mages, we are going to move on to a few classes that actually surprised me, and that is going to be the Bowman class branch. Ranger surprisingly looks super good. Now, I originally thought that this class was gonna feel a little bit clunky, but after seeing the third job, the arrow rain looks insane.
Yeah, it does. It actually does. The arrow rain looks really good, and it hits really hard. Now, I will say the only deterrent from arrow rain from where it used to be is that it does have a 5-second cooldown, but nonetheless, the mobbing on Ranger is still very good paired with the other mobbing skills that it actually does have.
Yeah, and the other mobbing skills are Inferno, which doesn't have a cooldown. Essentially, Inferno is literally just an arrow that fires, hits a mob, and then a bunch of other arrows rain down. And this also does dot damage as well on the mobs that it hits for 3 seconds. Ranger also got some movement, and the movement is surprisingly good. It's like a little mini front flip. It propels you forward and allows you to move around the map, and then it also has a little puppet for its kit, which aggroes mobs. Obviously, bossing, this is a pretty iconic skill that Ranger has always had. It does use a summoning rock though, which can be a deterrent for some people.
Also, on top of all those other things, obviously Ranger's main attacking DPS skill is going to be Strafe. Now, this skill is a little bit different than what it used to be, because at level 1 it's only going to do 3 lines, and at level 30
Strafe is going to advance to 4 lines. So it does feel good to level the skill, and you're also getting the damage boost, but then you're also getting the extra line when you finally max Strafe.
Yeah, so if you're somebody who likes pretty good mobbing and you like really good bossing, I would definitely say that Ranger is a very solid pick for you to go ahead and main. So then moving on from Ranger, we have the second iteration of the Bowman class branch, which is going to be Sniper. Now, Sniper is kind of similar to Ranger, but it's slightly different as well. It has Arrow Eruption, which functions a lot like Arrow Rain. It has a 5-second cooldown and hits up to 5 mobs, and it still does quite a lot of damage. But then it also has its other main mobbing skill, which is going to be Blizzard, that will hit 4 mobs at the same time, but then also applying a freezing effect to those mobs as well.
Yeah, and then same thing with Sniper and Ranger. It also is getting a movement skill. It is getting Evasion Step, which has a 5-second cooldown, and Ranger's movement moves you forward. Sniper's movement is going to move you backwards, like a little backflip, and that is going to be a 5-second cooldown. Now, Sniper also has an Eagle Summon, which once again uses a summoning rock, and then same thing applies. It has its main bossing skill, Strafe, which is going to once again advance. At level 1 you're hitting 3 lines, and then at level 30 you are going to be hitting 4 lines. Sniper and Ranger surprisingly look super good in this beta, and honestly, after seeing the third job, I might lean towards playing one of them. I'm not exactly sure.
So moving on from the Bowman branch, we're going to talk about the Thief branch now, which is going to consist of Hermit and Chief Bandit. Now, Hermit's main mobbing skill is going to be HP Avenger. Now, the skill slightly got nerfed to only hit 4 mobs, but it still functions slightly the same as it used to back in the original version of the game.
Yeah.
Now, I would say the biggest deterrent from people wanting to play Hermit versus back in the day is they did apply a 3-second cooldown to flash jump, which is a bit underwhelming and a bit annoying if you're a Hermit player, because that's one of the main reasons why you want to play Hermit. Nonetheless, if that doesn't bother you, it's still a pretty decent class overall.
Now, I did notice on Hermit that the damage did feel a little bit underwhelming. It really is seeming like they're trying to scrunch every class together, which is good. Honestly, they're balancing the classes so it doesn't feel like one class is just superior to the other.
But if you are somebody who likes to be a DPSer in a party, Hermit is probably still going to be a pretty decent class overall in terms of overall damage output. Now, one thing to consider with Hermit though is they did remove Alchemist, which used to increase the value of your pots that you were using and the duration of your pots by 50%, and they also did take away Miso Up, which used to give you 50% Miso per drop per mob.
Yes.
And they replaced these two skills with Claw Guard and Miso Saber. Claw Guard is just giving you more weapon defense overall, and Miso Saber is pretty much just like Magician's Magic Guard, where if you take damage, it's taking a percent of that damage and using Miso cost to protect you from damage. So probably a useless skill overall, but nonetheless still something to note. Moving on from Hermit, we're gonna be talking about Chief Bandit. Now, I'm not gonna lie,
I'm the one who played this class. I genuinely, I don't know.
Oh my God.
Okay, so Chief Bandit isn't a bad class, but the way this class feels compared to how it used to feel is definitely not the same. Now, what I mean by that is Band of Thieves is its main mobbing skill, and this is one of the most iconic, best mobbing skills in the game, or at least it was for me. And you used to be able to use this in the air, and it would hit mobs just all around you. When I was playing this beta, the Band of Thieves was not hitting mobs when I was jumping. You had to poke it as if you were using double stab, and that was the only way to get a hit. Not only that, but you had to almost line up the mobs. So if I was facing left and I use Band of Thieves facing left, it would only hit the mobs that were left of me. It wouldn't hit the mobs to my right, which was a little bit weird and surprising. I don't know if this is a bug or intentional, but it definitely did not feel as good as it used to. Now, what I will say is that Assaulter, its main DPS skill, did not feel bad at all to use. It was hitting heavy. It latches you onto the mobs. One thing that Assaulter does not do, and I don't know if this is a bug, but Assaulter is not hitting the mobs when you are jumping in the air. You're not able to jump and use it and go up to the next platform. You have to be grounded, and the range isn't as far as I remember, but it also does have Miso Explosion, which of course we all know you're dropping misos on the ground and then you're exploding them, and it is doing a ton of damage.
I do still feel like as a Chief Bandit, you're almost still locked into having to use your second job Savage Below as your main DPS, but I don't know. We'll see if they end up changing some things with this class. Another thing that it seemed that, if I remember correctly, that they changed was Chakra. I do believe that this used to be a buff that actually gave you damage, but in this version of the game, it works and functions as an HP regeneration skill. So when you use Chakra in Darksight, you are able to recover your HP, and then the second that you leave Darksight, that HP regeneration ends up stopping. So again, I think if I remember correctly, it used to be a damage buff, but now it's a support skill for your overall health.
Yeah, and there is a cooldown on it, so you can't just spam it. So at level 1, you're able to use Chakra. It activates the second that you press Darksight, and then you're not able to activate it again for another 60 seconds at level 1. And then at level 30, the max level, you are able to use it every 30 seconds. So every 30 seconds, you're able to go into Darksight, Chakra activates, and then you are restoring HP. So it is pretty decent. The HP recovery isn't bad, but it doesn't have as much use as it once did, in my opinion.
And then one of the more iconic skills that Chief Bandit did have and still does have to this day is going to be the Pickpocket and Miso Explosion combo. Now, for those of you guys who do not know, Pickpocket is going to be a passive skill that you can turn on, and every time you hit a mob, that mob is going to drop a percentage of miso on the ground, and then you can then use your miso explosion to then detonate those misos on the ground to kill the mobs. Moving on from the thief branch, let's talk about the warrior job branch, and we are going to start off with Dragon Knight, probably one of the most iconic classes of all time in old school Maplestory. Now, I will say, watching our party members play on this class, it still looks very, very good. So if you are a Dragon Knight fan and potentially thinking of maining this class, well, I would definitely say that this is probably still a very good class to main. Crusher being its main DPS skill, but also a hybrid to mobbing, and still does a ton of damage and still was able to mob very efficiently. Now, I will say the one caveat for this skill is at level 1, you're only going to be hitting one enemy 2 times, but at level 30, you'll be able to hit 3 enemies 3 times. And then the other mobbing skill that this class does have is going to be Dragon Fury, which, unlike the Crusher skill, you're going to be able to hit up to 4 enemies at one time. Now, I will say this skill itself only has 1 line, so it's not going to do as much damage output, but you are going to be able to trade that off for being able to hit 4 mobs at a time. And then the last but not least, and probably one of the more iconic looking skills on this class, Dragon Roar. I will say Dragon Roar seems like it got somewhat of a nerf in this version of the game, because I think I remember this class having a little bit more of a hitbox. Yeah. And there is another caveat to this class, and I feel like this is something that they changed in the beta versus what it used to be, is at level 1, you're going to use 1500 HP, and you're going to have a much smaller hitbox from the entirety of Roar. And then at level 30, you're going to use 900 HP, and you're gonna have a much bigger hitbox. I will say the other thing that I actually forgot that it had, and maybe it did have in the original version, is that you do get stunned after using this skill. I will say, however, this did do pretty good damage for it being such a large hitbox and hitting 8 enemies at a time. But other than that, the class overall feels really good to play and looks really good to play. And then one of the other skills that this class does have is going to be Dragon Blood. And this is essentially going to be a toggle that you turn on. And this is going to increase your attack, but at the same time, it's going to drain your HP every 3 seconds. And as you max this skill at level 1, it's going to have 30 attack and drain your HP for every 3 seconds, and at level 30 it is going to give you 60 seconds, but then drain a bit more of HP at max level. So there is a trade-off there.
And then moving on from Dragon Knight, again, one of the more iconic classes in the game, Crusader. And what does everyone know Crusader for? It is the combo attack. Now, one thing that is really nice with Crusader, and not a lot of the other classes have, and we didn't really talk much about this, but combo attack is unlocked right as you job advance on Crusader. Combo attack is a toggle that you can toggle on and off, and you are going to gain 1 combo orb for every attack up to 5 orbs. Now, at level 1, each orb is going to be 5% damage, max orbs of 3, and then at level 30, each orb is going to be 20% damage with max orbs of 5. The damage output actually looked extremely well. I was seeing 8Ks, 7Ks, 8Ks, even maybe up to 9K damage at level 100, which was really good.
Yeah, it does have really good damage. And then the other thing with Crusader is that it does have 2 separate attacks that you can use from your combo orbs. You're going to have Panic, and then you're going to have Coma. Now, Panic is going to be a single target DPS skill that is going to use all of your orbs on that one target to do a lump sum of damage. And then Coma is going to use all of your orbs, but you're going to be able to hit 4 enemies and have a 20% chance to inflict bleed dot damage. So you can use these 2 skills depending on the situation. But for the most part, I feel like a lot of people are still going to lean into using Panic to just go and one-shot a certain mob. This class does also have a skill kind of like Dragon Knight, and it's gonna be Shout, but it's pretty much like the gimped version of Dragon Knight's Roar. It has a much smaller hitbox.
And then even at max level 30, the range is still extremely underwhelming. I mean, useless skill pretty much. It's cool, but I don't think there's much use for Shout.
Yeah, and between Dragon Knight and Crusader, I would say they probably have pretty similar DPS output. So it's kind of just go with whatever one that you feel and that you would like more, honestly. They seem both very, very good contenders for mobbing and for bossing as well.
Yeah.
But moving on to White Knight, I wish I could say the same for this class, but this class just feels like a absolute pile of garbage.
Yeah.
I actually was the one who tested this during the beta, and oh my god, I don't know why you would ever main this class. It literally feels like you are playing a second job class and it does 0 damage.
Maybe
I don't know
maybe we were doing something wrong. I don't know if we were doing something wrong, but what I saw literally looked like a power striking second job warrior. Like, it looked so bad. It was hitting super, super, super low. So White Knight is a very interesting class. It has its main attack, which is called Charge Blow, and then you have Fire Charge, which are pretty much comboing these two skills together. And Charge Blow works in a way where you have 3 different variables. You can use Fire Charge with it, Ice Charge with it, and then Lightning Charge with it. Now, all of these charges are giving a advantage over the mob, whether they are Fire Advantage, Ice Weak, or Lightning Weak monsters.
Yeah, so you're pretty much like Charge Blow is just the same as Power Strike, essentially, and then you can use these 3 different iterations. That is going to be a buff that you can use with the skill, and then like Joe said, you're just going to get advantage over certain elemental weak monsters in the game. But overall, this class did not feel good at all. It didn't feel any different from a second job warrior. So if you are somebody who's thinking of playing White Knight, I mean, go and play it. I wouldn't play it. I wouldn't recommend it to anybody. This class seems boring, and it doesn't seem like it does a lot of damage at all.
So now that we've shown all of the classes, which classes would we recommend based off of the information and the gameplay that we got today?
They're all pretty decent. If I were to give my rating on what I would say to recommend, I don't know if I would recommend Priest because it doesn't give a holy symbol. Ice Lightning and Fire Poison have very, very good mobbing. They seem like they hit really, really hard. Ranger and Sniper both function the same. Great mobbing, great DPS as well. The Thief branch, the only thing, Chief Bandit's mobbing looks kind of mid. Hermit's damage looks a little bit lower than usual. And then for the Warriors, Dragon Knight looks really, really, really good. Crusader looks pretty solid as well. And obviously, White Knight is just absolute garbage. I wouldn't recommend that to anybody.
And of course, obviously, anything can change from now till the actual launch of this game. But this was us kind of just going through all of these classes, showing you how they function, giving you guys a little bit of a visual, and then a little bit of a skill description for these classes' third job, so that you guys have a better understanding of these classes when the game fully releases.
So if you guys enjoyed the video, definitely leave a like on the video and let us know what you guys are going to be playing once Maplestory Classic actually does release.
But anyways, guys, with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and we will see you guys in the next one. Peace.
Take it easy. Peace.